2, 1, fight!
Original Sin is probably my arch nemesis that's showing up here. And I think we're dead even over the years as to how our won-loss records go. It is the best wedge competing, in my view, in any category. It is an unbelievably tough machine. It's very fast, extremely well driven, and he's got all the little details of being a good competitor down. He is extremely well prepared. He's got a lot of backup parts, a lot of backup plans. He's all the intangibles of combat he does very well. So it's going to be a tough match. It really just comes down to how those first few hits go. If I manage to get on the side of him and pull a wheel off or bend an axle or something like that, usually the match is mine. If he makes me chew on that wedge for those first few hits and he starts to gain control, usually I'm in trouble. So the first few seconds of that 3 minutes will decide how it's going to go.
The Great Pumpkin, I haven't taken a look at the Great Pumpkin, so I don't know what I'm up against there. I'll have to check them out in the pits before, if we get matched up.
We've got Original Sin, great driver wedge thing.
Against the Great Pumpkin.
The Great Pumpkin. Ray Billings' little kind of throw together bot, which has, those things have a long history of doing very well.
Doing very well. Thrown together does not necessarily mean poor quality when it comes to Ray Billings and his robots.
No, absolutely not. And,
Yeah.
and they were talking earlier in some of the interviews, guys were talking about hot drivers and cold drivers and the difference between the two of them. And Gary's the prototypical cold driver.
Okay.
Nothing affects him. You know, Ray's just the opposite. Ray's a little more emotional, not as bad as some people, but a little more emotional, gets involved in the fight, can kind of throw him off his game a little bit. The real classic one on that is Matt and Wendy from Team Sewer Snake. I don't think they do different weight classes, and Wendy is like the coldest driver you've ever seen in your entire life. I mean, she is all business. Nothing affects that girl. And Matt's the opposite. Matt's very hot and jumping around, things are going, and he'll get emotion involved and all that stuff. So we kind of have a little of that going on in this match, although not quite as bad. Ray's very professional and a little colder, but he runs a little hotter than Gary. So.
Exactly. It was fun to watch him yesterday against Dave Calkins. There was a bit of drama and entertainment factor going on between the two drivers. You could tell that both of them were a bit hot, not necessarily what you would call the cool drivers. We're excited to see what happens with this fight. Oh,
ooh, nice head on.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this fight is that it is wedge against wedge.
Yeah. So we're not going to see much damage, but we're going to see a lot of action right in front of us.
Pumpkin hits the wall right in front of us, still rolling.
He's done a great job of attaching that pumpkin to the top of that robot. That thing's really hanging in there.
It had some major dents yesterday.
Yeah.
But today, not
but
so badly.
All his teeth appear to be there, which is the key thing with pumpkins.
It looks as though also that Ray might have a light inside of the Great Pumpkin. Does it seem like it seems to be glowing from within a little? Original Sin is just
another nice box run,
Ray has lost this. No. But he's getting in some good hits. It's just that Gary's wedge is so much lower to the ground.
Yeah, and the disadvantage on Great Pumpkin, when he accelerates, he does a mini wheel stand and he lifts his wedge up. And so Gary's coming at him underneath him right at that moment. So if they're both going at each other, Gary stays on the ground and the wedge comes up on the Great Pumpkin.
It probably to Ray's benefit if he can, although Gary's a really good driver and it's hard to do, to get behind him, to get underneath his tires, to be able to push him around, because getting in front of him wedge to wedge is not working.
So well,
Trying to get around to the back. Even that is
although I think Original Sin might make a pretty good ski jump for the Great Pumpkin. You know, it's a nice ramp. The Great Pumpkin's getting some good air.
Yeah, I think there's a little wheelbase thing going there. The width of the wheels on it might prohibit that.
Yeah.
Gary's got a pretty cleverly designed wedge on the front that then comes in from the sides as well as from the top.
Yeah, so it's a multi-wedge in effect.
And it kind of prevents that ski jump thing.
Yeah, there is a bit of the multiple angles on the Great Pumpkin as well.
I love the noise, just the sound of those things going at it.
The noise is great. Great Pumpkin once again over the top of Original
He
Sin.
does not want to make any kind of mistake.
And sitting here beside the arena, you could really feel the weight. I mean, the floor is constantly moving after, especially when they do a run into the side of the box.
Yeah,
You could feel everything
I'd
move.
love to get some kind of measure of how hard these bots are hitting each other because
Yeah.
they're heavy bots. These are both really heavy. They're top of their weight class, and they are really just pushing each other around.
Well, you remember with Gruff yesterday, kept getting stuck, and how difficult it was to unstick him,
Yes.
which gives you some indication of how much force it took him to get underneath there.
Yeah.
But
This
here
is-
again, great driving, constant
Yeah.
wedge on wedge.
Constant wedge on wedge. It's really interesting to watch also the two-wheel design of Great Pumpkin against the four-wheel
Yeah.
design of Original Sin. Original Sin just seems much more stable on the
Yeah,
ground.
yeah. The four-wheel,
But both of
the
them did
four-wheel
really
design
well.
is basically designed to go straight.
Yes.
So he's got a much more accurate thing on that.
He
The
can
two-wheel
turn on
design
a
is on his
dime.
twisties, yeah.
I mean, the two-wheel
But-
design it should have a much more maneuverability, but seems to have some stability issues, or at least in
Yeah, because he's
turning
and he's doing the
being
wheel
able to get
standing
around
thing,
fast.
lifting the
Yeah.
nose up. Yeah. So here again, great match, great driving, a lot of good smashes, a lot of good
Great
drives into the wall.
smashes.
Yeah.
If you're coming to a robot competition to see bots just smash each other,
Yeah.
this was one of those. It was
Fine
bumper
with me.
cars. It
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah, excellent driving, and here again they're using the rail. Of taking when you get a chance to get the other guy,
Up
smash him
against
into
the rail.
movable rock and the solid object. So.
And I think Gary Jin really did was the victor there in terms of
Yeah.
getting Great Pumpkin up against the rail a number of times.
Yeah, I'd go maybe 18, 15.
Right.
Just guessing apart, but yeah.
Split
17-16.
Okay.
Split decision 17-16 in favor of Original Sin. How are you feeling?
That's probably about how I would have called it. It was a really close match. Could have gone either way. You know, neither one of us was super dominant. Both of them were equally aggressive. It was a close match.
It was a very close match. It seemed as though Gary's wedge just was that much lower to the ground, able to get the advantage on the pumpkin more often.
Some of it's that. So, I mean, I got under him a few different times, but he's clearly faster than I am. So when I would get under him, I couldn't stay in control of him long enough to get him anywhere. The fact that he's got 4 tires helps too. So even if I get 2 of them off the ground, he still has something on the ground to provide traction. Whereas if he got mine off the ground, basically I'm hanging out until he decides to bounce me off a wall.
Gary, how did you feel about this fight?
That was a lot of fun. He, a lot of good action, pushing him around. Luckily, I was able to get under him and push him around, get him into the wall.
Yeah, you got him up against the wall, some really good hits right off the bat.
Yeah, well, I was hoping to rip that pumpkin right off of there, but
Well,
didn't quite get it done.
Yeah, you maybe needed some kind of weapon to just hack it off the top.
Yeah, well, weapons are overrated.
All right, so you're moving forward. This means you're up against Last Rites.
Maybe it wasn't such a great thing that I won that fight, but, if you want to win this thing, you got to be able to beat Last Rites, is the way I look at it. And I'm just hoping that the Great Pumpkin didn't soften us up too much for Last Rites.
Yeah, so time to get back in the pits, take a look at Original Sin, make sure it's up to snuff.
Oh, yeah. Check everything out, make sure we're ready to go.
Good luck.
Thanks.